Hello and one and all, welcome back to another video on Joseph Reviews. And on today's review, I shall be continuing my Bond series. Again, guys, hope you're enjoying it. And this month, we'll be going through the return of Sean Connery, the step down for George Lazenby, Diamonds Are Forever, which is the 7th Bond film in this series, the 4th Bond book in the series, even though I'm just the movies talking about the movies. They've got Sean Connery back. We have Charles Gray as Ernst Stavro Blofeld, and we have a returning director, Guy Hamilton, who directed Goldfinger. And like with all the other Bond reviews, this will contain some spoilers. You've been warned. Let's talk about it. And so we open up with the usual gun barrel sequence, which is quite possibly my favourite of the Sean Connery gun barrel sequences. Just the music's really cool, and the look of it is just great, and everything. And then after that, Bond starts hunting down people, talking to people, asking, where can I found Ernst Stavro Blofeld? And then when Bond meets the girl laying down, we get the James Bond. My name is Bond. James Bond. And in the trailer, it's actually different. but yeah, I think this kind of suits better for the movie, because it makes more sense. He's asking, where can I find Ernst Stavro Blofeld? And then we are introduced into Charles Gray as Ernst Stavro Blofeld. And Charles Gray was in one of the previous Bond films, You Only Live Twice. Now Charles Gray, I'll talk about him later on, but he's probably one of the weakest Blofeld. And Bond eventually puts him in this weird liquidy stuff. And then the cat's there, and you see the diamonds, and then we're on to the title sequence. Diamonds are forever. Diamonds are forever. Which is a pretty good Bond song and Bond titles. Later on, Bond is at MI6, talking to M. Bernard Lee, who is still great as M as well. Enjoyed him so far in the series. And we are introduced to two henchman characters called Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd. I will say though, guys, these guys aren't like the best henchmen ever. Like, no way. Not like Odd Job or Jaws, whatever. But I mean, they're pretty funny, silly characters overall. I mean, especially the thing where they trick someone where putting a scorpion and dies, which is a pretty silly death, but And then you get a pretty good fight scene with Bond in a lift. Starts fighting the guy in the lift, which is a highlight of the movie. And then we're introduced to our Bond girl of the series, Tiffany Case, played by Jill St. John, who is a pretty good Bond girl. I mean, especially the introduction, which is really good. Then you have the fight scene in the lift going on. Starts using the fire extinguisher as a weapon. And then thinks the guy's James Bond, because Tiffany Case, you just killed James Bond. Was that who it was? Yeah, I'm gonna stop making these funny lines to the Bond films. They're just that's just what I do in my reviews for a movie. But then you see, there's not a lot of remember stuff if I can think about it, because I just watched it actually. What else? Oh, you get another Bond girl. Plenty O'Toole, who is introduced in the casino scene. Plenty O'Toole, and I like it when Bond says, "Well, of course you are," which is very funny and everything. You know, she's actually a pretty good second-rate Bond girl, even though she's not really in it much. But when she shows up, it's good. Then you get this sort of weird, this mini sort of car machine, whatever it's called. You know, that goes in this like a behind scene sort of in a moon, and goes out in this sort of desert place. It's weird. It's a little over the top. There are some over the top moments in Diamonds Are Forever, so this is like the first one where we get introduced to sort of like campiness of Bond. And therefore we go into Las Vegas. Oh yes, and Tiffany Case is the first American Bond girl in this film, in the Bond series as well. And then Blofeld shows up again later, but this time it's actually another Blofeld. I'm like, okay, so there's actually 2 clones of them, and Bond actually kills Blofeld, but no, the real Blofeld is the one sitting down, and the cats as well are even cloned as well, the white cats, which is weird and everything. But I will say though, Sean Connery's performance definitely shows like his performance is like Dr. No from Russia with Love and Goldfinger, and not look bored in like You Only Live Twice or anything. He was okay in Thunderball, but here he really does bring that back, because you know, he's like, okay, this is actually fun. I actually do miss being Bond, because in you know, You Only Live Twice, he kind of got tired of the role. And George Lazenby, after On Her Majesty's Secret Service, was given an option to come back as Bond, but he's like, okay, I've played the character, I'm done, and that's why he only played Bond one time. And then they got Sean Connery back, who had a lot of money to come back for this role, because you know he's the original Bond. They got Guy Hamilton. They wanted this to be a successful one. I don't know if it was, per se, but it's good to see Sean Connery back, despite how old he looks a bit older in this film, but you know, it's great to see him back, nonetheless. And Norman Burton as well is the Felix Leiter in this one. All the Felix Leiters are played by different actors, not in every Bond film, but in some of the Bond films. This Felix Leiter isn't really that much, to be honest with you. And then you sort of get this fight scene with these 2 big tough girls, you know. Then they start fighting them in a swimming pool. Bond starts putting their heads in the water as if they're trying to drown. And then we get sort of a climax. Like if Bond had a main villain of the entire series, it would be Blofeld. But the final climax is pretty really not much really happens. And it's just what they do isn't that great. I don't know the way, you know, fair enough, you know, you putting Bond in a crane, you know, Blofeld is in this silver sort of like boat thing, whatever it's called, you know, sort of crashing into something, playing around on the crane. Then you get some other action sequences, you know, Tiffany Case uses a gun and everything. But yeah, this Bond film isn't, I mean, there are some funny moments here and there, You know, this is a bit of a guilty pleasure Bond film, but it's definitely not, you know, a great Bond film per se. And then you get the ending where Mr. Wynn and Mr. Kidd are on the boat. You know, they're serving like a dinner or something. Mr. Kidd is showing out food. His arms get burnt and falls in the wall. So there's a bomb in the cake, and Bond uses the bomb on Mr. Wint and everything, and then Tiffany Case is like, how the hell do we get those diamonds? And that's Diamonds Are Forever. So overall, guys, Diamonds Are Forever, it's not like a bad Bond film per se, but it's not a good one either. I mean, Sean Connery has a better performance this time as Bond. Tiffany Case is a good Bond girl, especially with the intro. There are certain scenes that don't really work in this, that don't really work for the character, like, have chosen for the character to do. Charles Gray isn't a really good Bond. I mean, showing clones of him, one at the beginning and one where the real Blofeld is shown as well, sitting down, it's like, what is the point as well? Mr. Wynn and Mr. Kidd, they're okay, henchmen. Oh yes, and the thing where they're driving the red car, like going through like 2 buildings and everything. It's pretty over the top. But yeah, I actually kind of do enjoy this Bond film. The lift scene, the fight scene in the lift is actually pretty intense. The opening's actually quite cool, even though it's a pretty disappointing compared to On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which was a great Bond film. Because, you know, Bond is having, you know, revenge on, because, you know, Blofeld killed Tracy in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and, you know, just going up to Blofeld and everything, talking to these people, where can I find Blofeld? But yeah, this isn't another memorable Bond film, but overall I can enjoy this. It's guilty pleasure at times here and there. It's definitely not, it's probably one of the weaker Bond films. Not the worst in this series, but one of the more weaker ones. There's some guilty pleasureness in here, but overall, not that sort of great per se. But this film's okay. It's okay. It's not great. It's just okay and fine. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Diamonds Are Forever a 5 out of 10. Alrighty guys, that was my review and thoughts on Diamonds Are Forever. Comment down below, let me know what you thought of this movie. Where do you rank it with the Sean Connery Bond films? Let me know below in the comments. Do you like campy Bond films? Because this film does start off with the campiness. You know, let me know below in the comments what you all thought. You know, do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know below in the comments. And stay tuned for my next Bond review, which is going to be later this month in July, where we begin the Roger Moore Bond era with Live and Let Die. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as always, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. All my social media links are in the description below. Don't forget to click the notification bell before you leave. And as always, until my next video, I will see you guys then, and peace.